Earlier tonight, the President told the nation the United States would take appropriate action to respond to the unprovoked attacks on U.S. naval vessels by torpedo boats of North Vietnam. I can tell you that some of that action has already taken place. U.S. naval aircraft from the carriers Ticonderoga and Constellation, these carriers operating in the Gulf of Tonkin, where our destroyers had undergone 2 deliberate attacks in international waters, have already conducted airstrikes against the North Vietnamese bases from which these PT boats have operated. Our naval aircraft have also conducted strikes against certain other targets which have directly supported the operation of the PT boats. Furthermore, in view of the unprovoked attacks, the deliberate attacks in international waters on U.S. naval forces, the United States has taken the precaution of moving substantial military reinforcements to Southeast Asia from our Pacific bases. In addition, we are also sending reinforcements to the Western Pacific from bases in the United States. I think you can understand it's not wise at the present time for me to identify these forces or to list the detailed strength of these movements. But I can assure you that the movements are appropriate to the provocation. And now I'd like to review briefly in chronological order the unprovoked attacks which took place today, August 4th, on our vessels operating in international waters in the Gulf of Tonkin. You'll recall that the destroyer Maddox, operating in those waters on Sunday, was attacked by 3 PT boats. The President instructed us to add the destroyer Turner Joy to the patrol being carried out by the Maddox, and since that time, the 2 vessels have operated on patrol in those waters. You'll see their course on this map. Here is the southern portion of China, the coast of North Vietnam, down to the 17th parallel, below which, of course, is South Vietnam, Hainan Island, possessed by Communist China, the course of our destroyers operating 30, 40 to 60 miles off the coast of North Vietnam, international waters, moving southward. At 7:40 p.m. on August 4th, 7:40 p.m. local time, Vietnamese time, August 4th, the Maddox, at about this position, reported radar contact with unidentified surface vessels who were paralleling its course, paralleling the track of both the Turner Joy and the Maddox. At 8:36 p.m., by which time it was about in this position, the Maddox established new radar contacts with 2 unidentified surface vessels and 3 unidentified aircraft. At this time, U.S. fighter aircraft were launched from the carrier Ticonderoga, which was also operating in the Gulf of Tonkin. These fighter aircraft were launched to rendezvous with the Maddox and the Turner Joy and to provide air cover to them. At 9:08, by which time the Maddox and the Joy had advanced south to approximately this point, the unidentified aircraft had disappeared from the destroyer's radar screens, and the surface vessels were remaining at a distance. By that time, the aircraft from the USS Ticonderoga had arrived over the destroyers, and they commenced defensive patrol over them. By 9:30, the destroyers were at this point, and at this time, the initial attack occurred. Additional vessels had by now appeared on the Maddox radar screen, and these vessels were observed to close very rapidly on the destroyers at speeds in excess of 40 knots. The attacking surface vessels continued to close rapidly from both the west and the south. By 9:52, the Maddox and the Turner Joy had continued south to approximately this point, and they reported they were under continuous torpedo attack and were engaged in defensive counterfire. By 10:15, they had advanced approximately to here. They were reporting they were avoiding torpedoes and that they had sunk one of the attacking patrol craft. At 10:42, the destroyers reported they had evaded additional torpedoes and had sunk a second of the attacking patrol craft. Other protective aircraft from the Ticonderoga had arrived overhead and had joined the defensive patrol. At 10:52, the Maddox reported the destroyers were again under attack. At midnight, by which time the vessels were in this position, the destroyers reported that they had suffered no hits, no casualties, and that the defensive aircraft from the Ticonderoga were illuminating the area and attacking the enemy surface craft. At 12:32, at which time they were at this point, the patrol reported that an additional enemy craft was believed to have been sunk, and that low ceilings, poor weather, was beginning to hamper the aircraft operations. At 12:54, the Turner Joy, one of the two destroyers, reported that during the engagement, in addition to the torpedo attacks, the destroyer had been fired upon by automatic weapons while being illuminated by searchlights. And at 1:30 a.m., by which time the destroyers were in this position, they reported the attacking craft had apparently broken off the engagement. The Maddox and the Turner Joy were directed to resume their normal and routine patrol operations, and they are continuing them at the present time.